630 Washington's Mall, WMAL. This is Washington's Drive at 5.
Afternoon, I'm Larry O'Connor. It's 5:19 on WMAL, and joining us right now is attorney Darryl Genis. He represents former aide to California Congresswoman Lois Capps, Democrat out of California. His name, the staffer, is Raymond Morua, and he had got himself into a horrible situation, killed a woman via a DUI hit and run, and obviously he has some major criminal things. Mr. Genis, thanks for joining us here. Let's first deal with the criminal aspects of this. Your client is, did he plead guilty to this charge?
Yes, Larry. Raymond expressed to me from early on that he wanted to take responsibility for this horrific tragedy, and so we had to go through the process, and as you know, the legal system has some formalities. That even included him entering a not guilty plea so that we could move the case to a courtroom that was physically better situated to accommodate both the Dyes family, that's the young lady who was tragically killed, Mallory Dyes, as well as Mr. Marua's family, because this accident has turned two separate families and their loved ones, completely on end.
And tell me the details here, because I had first understood that this tragic event happened here in Virginia. Obviously a lot of activity happens with candidates and their staffers, but Mr. Morua was actually out in Santa Barbara, is that right?
Yes. Lois Capps has an office in a contingency base here in Santa Barbara, and my client, Raymond Morua, was a senior aide and staffer on her for her office.
Well, what's interesting here, and I'm sorry, I just want to move it along, because what's in question is not the criminals. As you said, your client has wanted to deal with this and take responsibility. And again, I want to point out, you're an Iraq War veteran and has been, serving his country in many capacities. What's interesting here is now the parents of the woman who was killed in this accident, they're suing for wrongful death. They're not only suing your client, but they're suing the Congresswoman and the U.S. government. And this is where it gets very interesting, I think, for many of our listeners who work on the Hill or work in a governmental capacity. Was your client on the job at the time he was drinking 8 cocktails at an event and then behind the wheel?
Without a doubt. Somebody in public service, such as my client acting as a senior aide to a congressperson, they're on the clock from the moment they wake up until the moment they go to bed. They're constantly fielding emails and texts for their employer, and they're constantly, reaching out to their constituency and discussing issues, and getting out the vote at the appropriate time of year, and they're always working. It's a thankless task that never seems to end.
No, I think plenty of people in this town understand that when you work for a politician or for a governmental agency, oftentimes it's a 24/7 deal. But specifically, I mean, was he having to respond to emails? Was he having to respond to text messages? Was this an official event? When he was out drinking, was he drinking at a social gathering specifically for this politician?
Well, you've asked a series of questions in court. We would say objection compound, but all joking aside, the answer to all of those questions is yes. This was a Christmas party, but it was really a gathering of sorts of a bunch of very closely connected political allies. The party was hosted by a local newspaper called the Santa Barbara Independent, which is a paper that has supported a lot of politicians. It's no secret that they are a supporter of Lois Capps, among others. And Lois Capps' office had received an invitation. My client, Mr. Morua, was assigned to attend the party by his office, the person who handles all of the assignments of who's going to cover what function. He had been on the job since early that morning. He had been to lunch functions. He had spoken to various political allies and constituents. He continued to be on the job. one of the former crime reporters for The Independent had become a press secretary to Lois Capps, that being Chris Marr. It looks like it's spelled Meager, but it's actually Chris Marr. And he actually attended the party with Mr. Marua, but Mr. Marr was attending the party as a former Independent employee. And when I say independent, I mean independent as in the paper, not
right,
independent
sure.
as a party.
We're running out of time, Mr. Genis. I hate to cut you off, but I want to get to one last aspect here. You've said that your client, Mr. Maroa, he's taking responsibility and he has deep regret and everything. Now that there is a civil action here, and the Congresswoman, Representative Capps, she is now being named in this. Is she stepping up? Is she saying, yes, he was working in an official capacity? Yes, I'm backing this up. This is partly my office's responsibility.
Sadly, the answer is not only is she not taking responsibility, but journalist Peter Lance uncovered a very elaborate scheme of cover-up that involved the commission of several federal crimes by her office and her aides in order to try to whisk my client out of town early on. And then ultimately in that paper I referred to, The Independent, Congresswoman Lois Capps played the no-comment card, but she played it very underhandedly. She said, she made an accusation that the 5-part piece written by journalist Peter Lance, published by the News Press, which is like, the LA Times for Santa Barbara, that it was rife with inaccuracies, but she had no comment because of the pending litigation.
Oh, nice how they can do that.
Well, see, the newspaper, as you know, before you make an accusation against a public figure, you have to vet those accusations.
Right. Mr. Genis, I'm so sorry, but we're up against it. This is a story we're going to follow, and hopefully we can bring you back on to talk about this. It is a cautionary tale for so many people who work in this town. Thank you so much for joining.